Martin, for reading out this too long title. I'm actually speaking today here. I'm a postdoctoral researcher at ETH at the moment. And I'm speaking here for Ainur Kailapova, who was a master student when I was back in TU Munich. So she's the first author. It's based on her master thesis, so all credits to her. But it was an interesting master thesis we published, also the data sets, so we wanted to present it here today. Just that you know the icons. So generally, the motivation is we had a colleague, Andrea, who's the second supervisor, who's more into detecting elements in 2D drawings. My background is more like sustainability. So the general motivation is all these statistics about why we need material information of the existing building stocks. Most of the buildings we have in Europe are not efficient enough energy-wise, and the renovation rate is too little. So we actually need to accelerate these things. Also, then the data acquisition. There's actually a concept rising up called material passports in Europe, sometimes also known as digital product passports on product scale or digital building logbooks, but in academia, material passport is the wording currently. It actually is an assemble of or bill of materials. You can use different input data, but creating such material passports takes a lot of time, and there are automation, so like BIM-based material passports. There are also point cloud-based material passport. However, about the primary structural materials, there's no automation. So this was our general motivation. How can we use computer vision techniques and adapt them to detect primary structural materials in architectural drawings for generating material passport of as-designed buildings. Exactly. So I'm going to introduce the proposed methodology or the framework, the workflow we, or Ainur in her thesis, conducted. So first of all, the first challenge was getting to the floor plans which have these hatches, so the relevant level of information included. And actually this is quite challenging because no architect wants to share their data. Luckily in my family there are some architects, so I had to do some convincing, and we could also publish the data set because we anonymized the data set, just publishing the patches and the masks. So this was actually one of the biggest challenges, and also getting diverse data sets. So later I'm going to introduce, we had 3 different types of data sets, hand-drawn data sets, BIM-based data sets, and cut-based data sets, who all have their different hatching types and challenges. So after we have these 2D technical real-world drawings, we defined different material classes, we annotated them, pre-processed them, split them in training, validation, and test data set. Then we selected several different CNN model architectures, did the training, did the validation, classified the pixels, compared the performances, did this iteratively, and then compared the different models and fine-tuned the best performing CNN to continue. And in the end, we just had a simplified material passport. So this is really the first step, looking only at the primary structural materials and not enriching any further information. So just having the amount, so the area in the floor plans with the material classes. The data preparation, I mean, most of you know it, but the big challenge here is we're really looking just about primary structural materials. So if we have on the left-hand side, you see the original drawing, but the mask is actually only focusing on a few hatches we have in this drawing, not all the other lines. So there's a lot of noise, and this is actually depending on which data source you have, one of the biggest challenges we have. We had different metrics to compare. I'm not going to go into detail in these, we had different fine-tuning techniques we applied in the second step when we selected the best performing CNN architecture. And about the data sets, we had a BIM-based case study, so the 2D drawings were derived from a BIM model, so quite automatically, not hand-drawn with a pen or a computer model, but derived from this 3D model. Then we had this hand-drawn case study, and we had a cut-based case study. However, we didn't use vector-based, but just image-based floor plans, which has also downsides, but we could shuffle or train the CNN models on all data sets together and individually, which I will show in a moment. One of the biggest challenges, as you can see here, is noise. So here you can see actually there's some shading in this, it's a section, but you can see shading, and this shading has the same hatches as the primary material, the primary structural materials, which is a lot of noise, and this noise is really difficult then later in the training. So we had these three data sets. And we actually published it, so for this conference or for this publication. In our ongoing research, we're actually also using it at ETH, this data set, although we know what the limitations of this data set is. These are the, should not say classification classes, but the material classifications. We differentiated actually, the most common ones we actually used as a German book called Neufert, where there's no standardization on how these hatches should look like, but there's a recommendation in industry. However, this deviates a little bit, so we, besides reinforced concrete, unreinforced concrete, precast concrete, masonry slits, XPS insulation, hard insulation. In soft insulation, we had a different hatches between cut-based and hand-drawn. I will show an example later. And actually, one of the biggest problems we had also a class for non, so the black ones are non-relevant, so not a class, which is also a problem in the training later. I'm going a little bit quicker over this now. So here you can see actually the difference between the cut-based soft insulation on the left-hand side, which is computer-generated hatches. On the right-hand side, it's really hand-drawn very nicely, but it has different orientations and different complexity in the training, so we differentiated it. And now these are the examples. So generally, on the first glance, the results look quite convincing. On the overall accuracy, however, the biggest problem is we had still one of the classes is the background, and of course the background is the most dominant, and this should not actually be the case because we're interested in the materials and not just in the background. Then if we look more about the mean IOU, the results look not that great anymore, especially here you can see actually these different data sets. So first of all, we trained all data sets individually and then all together, and especially if you mix all data sets together, it gets really fuzzy. I need to speed up a little bit here. Some visual results we created, so not just showing the numbers, but also how good these different architectures perform. MobileNet V2 also is like the most robust in finding different material classes, as you can see here, segmenting the legend of this patch. So actually, UNet was quite good in when training individual data sets, while MobileNet V2 was when we shuffled all patches of all data sets together, most convincing. However, as you can see here, these are it's the confusion matrix of the fine-tuned MobileNet model. The problem is still that we have most of the background as a confusion. So coming to an end now, to conclude, We used, I mean, it's like a year ago, what we did, or what INUR did, or 1.5 years ago. We used back then the most common semantic segmentation models. We published the open source data set. Also for the adaptability for the context, as we said, we differentiated these 3 data sources. But there's also a big need for more diverse data, because especially some of the material classes are underrepresented. We limited to real-world data. There's a high diversity in the hatchings depending on the data source. We just derived in this first step the quantities, the type, and the location of the materials for the material passport. We need in future a larger and balanced and varied training data set, what we're currently trying to achieve from what we have now, to shuffle it more, to recreate these underrepresented material classes. It's a highly simplified calculation. We need always more data. And in the end, also the geometric reproduction was very simplified, just looking at the area, not the volumes. And there's also no material building physics data with this future work. Thank you very much for your attention. Now I'm open for questions.